for your healing. The circumstances would change. I pray that the fear inside would flee in Jesus' name.
Jeremiah 30:17 tells us, I will restore you to health and heal your wounds, declares the Lord. Welcome to another episode of Healed, Whole, and Happy. Today, we have a powerful testimony of an entire community rising up to pray for one of our beloved doctors. Welcome, Dr. Eck and Mrs. Eck.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for accepting and saying your yes to share your testimony. Not too long ago, we were all praying for you because of this situation. So do you guys want to tell us a little bit of what happened, a little bit of your family?
Well, actually, this 15th of October will make exactly 2 years since he got sick and was hospitalized. So it's our 2nd year anniversary coming up. Tell you a bit of ourselves. We were married for 30 years. December 26th this year will make 30 years we've been married. We have 3 kids, the oldest 30 and the youngest 16. And the middle child is 24. That's our son. We both work in the medical field. We own our own business, a medical practice, which he works through, and I'm the manager of the clinic. So we've been working together for almost 16 years.
That's amazing.
Yes. To tell the story, on October 15, 2021, we got home from work and he decided to take a test because he was not feeling well. We worked that day, and so we got a home test, and he took the test, and it came back positive.
So it came back positive with COVID-19.
COVID-19.
So we are still in the pandemic at this point.
Yes.
It's not so serious as in 2020. So people have started to lighten up with this, not wearing the mask at all times. But yet in 2021, now you find yourself with COVID.
Well, actually, it was still a serious time. I think it was the height of the COVID.
The pandemic?
Yes. I think it was one of the peak moments.
Okay.
Because the hospital was pretty full at that time. It was their peak time, And so he tested, and he was the only one tested positive. I wasn't positive, nor the kids. And then, so he quarantined, and he kicked us out the room. And then the Sunday, I tested positive because I started with a fever. And my other daughter, the oldest one, tested positive as well. So
now your entire family has COVID.
Except the little one.
And most likely you got it because you're dealing with patients who are
sick kids. Yes.
Right.
So in our household at the time, because my son was studying in Taiwan at the time, so it was only me and my 2 daughters and him. And the only little one didn't get positive. She wasn't sick any at all. So she was quarantined to her room, and we were allowed to roam the house and bring her food and whatever she needed. And we were going quite fine. We took her herbs, we took her medicine, whatever they told us to do.
As a doctor, you know what you need to do.
Well, my wife puts it a little blandly that, I clearly remember feeling a little ill and driving home and with sniffles. I said, you know what? Let me check this thing. And the background behind it is that I go to the hospital. At that time, we had 2 uncles who had passed away. And I used to ask to see the kids who were sick with COVID because they would give you the bubble outfit, the personal protective equipment. And so that after I see them, I could go and check on my uncles. 2 of them were intubated, 2 of them passed away. And it was
with COVID-19?
With COVID-19 in the COVID unit.
So you have 2 uncles that passed away
at KHMH. The track record at KHMH was very bad back then. And not only KHMH, but worldwide. Initially, when this thing came, nobody knew what it was. Nobody knew how to treat it.
Right.
And so a lot of people died. The variant that we got in the household was Delta. And that's one of the severe ones. As well, I had a lot of risk factors for getting severely ill. I was obese, still a little bit. I was with asthma. I had diabetes for several years. I was being treated for hypertension. Those
so
are
all
the
these things
all of
that
those
they
are
tell
there.
you that is dangerous, you have them all.
I have them. No, the nature of our job, and at the hospital, we went through the first and the second phases. Remember when they locked down San Pedro and they locked down the city and
Right.
we had the curfews and all of that. And we were doing well. And I remember going into a meeting and telling the staff, because everybody was depressed and sad, and I told them, no, we're doing well.
You're
At
probably
KHMH,
worried, very worried.
we're worried, but we're doing well. The training worked. Just I think like one person had gotten sick and recovered. I said, no, we're doing okay. And that's when the burden started to hit, and a lot more people started to come in. And we didn't have the drugs, we didn't have the machines. It was pretty awful in that unit. But I used to go and visit them, and so I knew that this illness was bad. I knew that I had the risk factors, but with the training that we have, you can't not give care because you're at risk.
Right.
Especially in my job to a kid. We do anything for the kids.
That's your profession.
Yeah, that's what we
you
do.
signed up
That's what we
for.
do, yeah. And even though I didn't sign up to do it through a global pandemic, you know, it could happen.
That's the vow you took when you became a doctor.
And so continued to work. And unlike the adults who would sneeze in the elbow, cover their faces, wear their masks, on the ward at the hospital and in my clinic, they would sneeze in your eyeball. And I suspect that is what happened to me. Because several kids, the parents, during that week, called and said, Doc, the cold continued. We tested and it's positive. And at that point, the horse had already gone through the gate. I just said, we'll wait and see what happened. And that's when I started to get sick, and exactly what she said happened. The bad part is that I got blamed for being sick because they said that I went out in a cold front to try and fix the pump that was bad at home, and my mole got wet. And it literally at home, I remember the first couple of days being feeling flu-ish. We did everything. And I promised her, I said, babe, if I need to go to the hospital, I will tell you I need to go to the hospital. And I made her that promise, and it came. I was doing my nib, checking my oxygen saturation, and it wasn't going up. And I think it was a Saturday morning, I said...
So at this point, you're doing everything you can for
everything
yourself.
that we knew we could do.
You knew that you could do as a doctor. But the same thing that you're applying to your patients.
Yes.
You're doing for yourself, for your family.
Yes.
Now you, how...
Well, he started to deteriorate from the Wednesday. We tested positive on the Friday, and the following Wednesday was when he started wheezing. And he's asthmatic, so I guess he took it that it's just a normal wheezing episode, so he started to nebulize himself. I didn't take it anyway because he always does that. But Saturday morning, woke up and I see him nebulizing again, but that day was also, I think, my worst day. I had the worst sore throat ever in my life, to the point that I couldn't even swallow my own spit. I was spitting in a cup that morning. Yes.
It's the pain.
Yes, it couldn't go down, not even my spit would go down. And so I was spitting in a cup, having high fever and lying on the couch, and he was in the bedroom. And we passed the morning like that, and he around midday, he came out and said, babe, I think that's it. I think we need to go to the hospital. And I jumped up and I said, what? What happened? He said, my oxygen saturation has dropped. He said, nothing is working. He said, we need to go. And I said, oh my God, this is it. So we got up and he got dressed. I got dressed. I said, well, I need to drive you. So we told the kids, and the little one who was in her room, he knocked at the door and said, Ree, I'm leaving, I'm going to the hospital. And she got frightened. She said, don't worry, I'll come back. And so we
So at this point, it's only you two going to the hospital,
Yes.
not your daughter.
No, we left them home, and I
Your
drove
daughter
him.
at this time she's recovering.
Yes, she
properly.
was already recovered. The older one, she was better.
Okay.
Yes. I guess she could have taken him, but I said, you know what, this is me. I have to do this.
Right.
So we jumped in a vehicle and I drove him to Carl Hushner. By that time, he had already alerted his colleagues that he's coming to prepare for him. And I dropped him at the A&E gate, and the doctor came out for him, and he walked out like nothing. I kissed him by, I said,
Normal.
don't worry, I'll see you. You know, we'll get over this. I'll see you at home. And he went in, and that was it. I drove home, and driving back home, I remember the only thing I could have done was pick up the phone and call his mom And so I said, Miss Anita, this is what happened. I just dropped Cecil at the hospital. Please pray for him. And then I started to cry all the way home because we live in Ladyville. And so I got home and the kids are worried. I said, don't worry. I said, probably only needs a little oxygen. He'll be fine. You know, he's going to come home.
At this point, are you thinking that it's going to be so serious?
No, not at all.
You're thinking
I just thought,
they're
yes.
going to give him some meds, he'll walk out and go home and everything's going to be
I
fine.
said maybe he just needs a little oxygen and he's in the right place, because we have always discussed before. We had discussed if we get sick, where would we go? And through the whole pandemic, he was keeping informed of what's happening at the hospital, and we knew that they were prepared. So, and that's where he works and where his colleague works. And so we said, that's where we're going. And so that's why we chose to drive him there. And so we got back home and I just thought it would be, an overnight maybe. And then that night, the doctor from Viannie called and said, introduce herself. And she gave me the whole rundown. Said, this is where he's at right now. If this next step doesn't work, if this happens, then we're going to have to put him on high flow. If that doesn't work and it reaches a certain level, we're going to have to ventilate him. Do you understand?
This is the doctor calling you?
Yes. And like, that's the moment it hit me, like, wow, she's telling me all of this, but he's not serious. He just walked out the car. And so I said, yes, I understand. And then she says, then there's one more thing. He said, there's a medication, a new drug that we can treat him with. He said, but it usually only works best within the first 6 days. And today is day 6. And I said, oh my gosh. He said, but we're going to try everything. He said, everything we've got, we're going to try. I said, well, doc, go right ahead. Do everything you can. And so she left, and I remember informing everybody, and we started to pray. His cousin Venetia started the prayer group that same day, I think, the family, on Zoom at the time, because we still couldn't get together. So she started a prayer meeting, and we started to pray right away.
So at this point, no. What's going through your mind? You're at the hospital now. Did the doctors inform you of everything that you would go through?
I don't know. My last lucid memory was kissing my wife and telling her bye and walking into KHMH.
So after that, you have no recollection?
After that, a week later, I woke up from being intubated. I do have texts that people were asking me on my phone. So I was answering people. I remember sending pictures to my wife of the oxygen monitor and the food that they brought for me, but I have no recollection of what happened. And some say it's a blessing. It's called retrograde amnesia. So your body gets into some severe, especially oxygen deprivation. A part of your memory shuts down, so you don't recall it. And more likely that is what happened to me. So all the rest of what happened after what my wife said, I don't know what happened.
So at this point, when you start praying, he's still not intubated.
No, he was still at the hospital, and I was sending him texts, and he was answering me, showing me his food, showing me the cannula in his nose. So we just took it that, okay, well, it'll be a weekend. By Sunday, Monday, he'll be home. So the Sunday passed, and he was still in there. I got an update from the doctor. She's still not doing well. They're still trying the medication. Then Monday comes, and I remember clearly the morning, me and my daughter sitting on the couch, and we had on Guadalupe media. For somehow, that's the only thing that comforted me. I turned it on, and the music was playing.
So your first thing is you go to God.
Yes.
That's where you felt comforted and you
Yes.
felt consoled.
Yes. Well, yes, and so that Monday morning, we turned it on, and we just listened, and there was nothing else to do. Like, the cable didn't exist at the time, a book didn't exist at the time. We were just sitting there watching the clock and listening to this music, waiting for an update. And then around midday, around 11 o'clock, I had a good friend of ours, a mutual friend, who also works in the medical field, and she calls and checks up on me, and she says, Liz, I spoke to Dr. Hidalgo, and he's suggesting, why don't you move him? Why don't you take him to the private healthcare partners? So I said, but why? I said, he's doing okay, and that's where he wants to be, that's where he works. And he said, we understand. He said, but remember, it's very overwhelmed. The system is overwhelmed at the moment, and he needs one-on-one care. And then I said to myself, but there's no way. I said, I don't have $10,000 to write a check to give the hospital. There's no way, that's not possible. And she said, Liz, you don't worry about it. If I have to write the check from my checkbook personally, I will do that. And then I said, but I can't go there and arrange anything. I'm quarantined. I have COVID. I can't go there because you have to go and sign
At this
the
time, you're
paper.
still sick.
Yes, I'm still sick. And you have to go and arrange when someone is getting, admitted privately to sign that you're going to, pay the bill. And I said, although we have insurance, you still have a co-payment to make and you still have to make a deposit. And I said, but I don't have that. And she said, you don't worry, that is covered. And then she said, but you have to make up your mind now. He said, this is a critical point. He said, if we wait any longer, it's not possible to transport him. At this time, he was already on high flow oxygen, the maximum. And the next step would have been the ventilator. Now, for him to get transported, we have to call an ambulance.
Right.
And ambulance are not equipped to transport a high flow patient like this, because the oxygen would run out by the time they reach where they're going. And so I called my other colleagues, my other doctors that I know, because I know a lot of them personally since I've been working in the field and we have our clinic. And consulted with a couple of them. One said yes, one said no, don't try it. So it's too dangerous, don't do it. And the other one said, yes, we can give it a shot. And I said, you know what? You all talk and you tell me what you think best. And so I guess they consulted and they agreed that they will do it, and somehow or the other they found a machine in the hospital to put on him and to take in the ambulance, so some equipment to take with him so it would have worked, so he can transport him from Carl Huchner to BHPL. And so I said, okay. So I called and said, I agree, Doc, let's move him. And so they started the paperwork right away. And I think that's a miracle in itself, because
Yes.
to transport a patient like that, I don't think they've done it before. As a matter of fact, a week after, I think that during that same week, they tried it and the patient didn't make it. The same exact thing with him. They tried to move her from Carl Huchner to private and the patient didn't make it. So it's very risky, but we took the risk. So that in itself, I think, is a miracle.
At this point, you're praying that everything goes well.
Yes. So,
By this time now, you have a community praying for you now, because the prayers have started.
right, everyone knows, everyone is calling, everybody's concerned about him, concerned about us. I guess, I don't know, just the miracle of, God being faithful to us, Viannie.
Amen.
Yes. So he arrived at BHPL and they admitted him, and the doctor called and said he made it, he's already settled, we settled him in a room. He's gonna be okay.
You're not there at this point.
No, I can't. I have COVID. I'm in my home. I can't move. Well, I shouldn't be going anywhere.
That's true.
Yes. So I said, okay, Doc, you do what you have to do. And so went to sleep the night, and this is another powerful, testimony that I feel is what carried me through. Because that night I lie down in my bed, and I said, I'm praying. No, I'm having insomnia because I can't sleep. I'm waiting for the phone to ring any minute. And I'm praying and I'm saying, God, please heal him. Do whatever you need to do. Just heal him, touch him. And it's like a vision came there, like clear in my mind. I'm not sleeping, I'm not dreaming. I couldn't even sleep. And this vision came clearly. He lying down on a bed in the hospital room, and there's 3 men standing over him, looking over him. And I had the imagination, or I'm thinking that they're doing surgery. And beside that, they had a closet door. And right there, a lady stood overlooking the men. And the voice came to me and said, Lysette, I already told you I'm healing him. I'm restoring him. And I jumped up and I said, oh my gosh.
So you're not sleeping. This is a vision that God gave you, a consolation.
Yes, a consolation.
And I can only imagine it's the Blessed Mother over these men.
Exactly, that's what I took. I took it as Jesus. I don't know who the other 2 men were, and Blessed Mother overlooking them, what they're doing. But it's like they were doing a surgery, they were working on him. You couldn't see him, I couldn't see his face, but I knew it was him on the bed. And so that night passed, and I said, okay, I trust you. Jesus, I trust in you. That was my line the whole time. Jesus, I trust in you.
Were you praying at this time? Were you very prayerful before all of this? praying for your husband, praying for your
Yes.
family. Were you close to the church?
Yes. Well, I'm Christian. I'm Catholic. I grew up in the Catholic faith, with a very strong background. My grandfathers, on my mom's side, my mom's dad, his brother was Monsignor Facundo Castillo.
Okay.
And so,
wow.
yes, that's my great uncle. And then my grandfather also had two twin sisters, and they were Palatine nuns. So, like, we were very,
You come from a
indoctrinated.
very prayerful
Exactly,
family.
very prayerful. I grew up in the church, grew up with the sacraments.
And you know
doing-
what? Our Catholic faith teaches us that even though they may not be with us, they're still praying for us. They're interceding for us
Right.
from in heaven or
Right.
purgatory.
Right. So I've always been a prayerful person, praying. So that's the first thing, that I do. To me, that's the only thing I can do or turn to.
So you're not even worried about the science or how bad it looks. You just know that God heals.
Yes.
And that's your go-to.
Yes.
Were you prayerful before all of this?
Not that much. I grew up as a Roman Catholic. I used to be an altar boy at Our Lady of the Way. And we still live, and before I left Belize, and still now live opposite the priest in Ladyville. So we're close to him, whoever the person is, and there have been many. But yes, I'm the one who will find an excuse not to go to church. I'm the
Like
one,
most men, right?
I'm the one who my wife would scold and say, "You're late, put on your shoes." But since the soul episode, I've been more prayerful. I've been more, even with my patients, when a baby is about to die, I would stay and hug the parents and pray with them. And I never used to do that before, because in my line of work, death is the devil. That's the thing we fight against the most. And so when we lose that battle, it's just kind of frustrating sometimes. But now, I after this whole episode, I stay, I comfort them, I cry with them a little bit, and it maybe opened me up some more. I find as well that when I'm frustrated, I would literally, in the middle of the night, on the ward room or wherever, I would start to do what her uncle used to do. He used to say, "Sis, I just said a decade of rosary while waiting for my wife in the public parking lot." And I back then used to find that kind of, what's up with that. But now I find myself doing it because it kind of settles you. It gets you more attuned to to the bigger picture.
It brings peace.
And you get, I'm not so stressed of the small stuff anymore. So yes, I know that it has changed me.
Amen.
But Liz could continue.
So let's go back now to where you were. You have this vision now. And you see this lady.
Yes.
What does
that I
this do
took-
for you?
Well, that comforted me. I mean, from then on, I could say, Viannie, every time I had the thought that, what if your husband died? What if this is it? What if, I said no. And it keeps coming back to that vision. And the voice saying, Lysette, I already told you I'm healing him. I'm restoring him. Every time I hear like the devil saying, what if he passes away? Nope. I come back to that vision, and so that's what comforted me throughout this whole time. That vision and hearing that voice.
So now after
And-
this vision, at what point do you get intubated? At where?
Well, the following morning, I got a phone call very early. The doctor informed me, said we tried, but we had to intubate him. We have to put him on the ventilator. We don't know for how long, but we'll keep, close tabs, we'll monitor, and we'll let you know how he's doing. And I said, no, doc. He said, yes. So we had to do it. And I said, okay. And I remember I put down the phone, and my older daughter was beside me, because every time the phone rang, everybody spring up, like we're on alert. And I said, that's it, Daddy had to be intubated. And I don't know what it is, but the first thing that crossed my mind was to call my parish priest. And so I texted him. It was Father Brian at the time. So I texted Father and I said, Father, my husband is ill, I'm sure you know. I said, and they just told me they had to intubate him. I said, but before this, I had called my son because he was living in Taiwan. He was studying in Taiwan. He was in his third of 5 years studying there. And so I called him and I told him, I said, Daddy was intubated this morning. And that wrenched my heart because he's a big man and he's crying, and then I can't comfort him. He's alone over there in his room. My youngest one is quarantined in her room, so she's crying in her room. It's only me and the older one. I said, oh my God, what do I do? And like, I think from that moment when he said that he's intubated, I felt, I don't know, like a strength came over me, Viannie. I couldn't explain it back then, but looking back now, I'm thinking, I don't know where that strength from. It's a feeling that I can't explain. Like, this is it. There's no turning back. It's you now. You're in charge. You're the head for these kids. You have to be in charge now. And like this strength just came, I don't know from where. But now looking back, I'm thinking, man, I didn't even realize that was what I was feeling. And I can't explain how it feels. I just know I wasn't afraid. I wasn't crying. I'm trying to console my kids. And so I picked up the phone and I called Father Brian. Well, I texted him. I said, Father, my husband was just intubated. I said, can you pray for me? Because I don't know what to do. And he said, do you want me to pray with you? And I said, yes, Father, please. He said, give me 5 minutes and I'll call you. And so we waited and he calls us, he video chatted us, and he picked up the phone, and the first thing he asked me, he said, how are you doing? I said, I'm worried, Father. So he said, are you mad? Are you upset? Are you upset with God? And I was taken aback. I said, upset? No, I'm not upset. I'm not mad. I said, maybe a little bit worried, but no, I'm not mad. I said, because when people get in this situation, the first thing they do is blame God. They're upset. And I said, no, not at all. And so he prayed with us the morning, and I felt a little bit better after that. And that morning we spent again in front of Guadalupe media listening to the music, just watching the clock goes by, because now he's intubated and you know what to do. We can't go anywhere. Nobody can come and console us. Nobody can come over. We can't go anywhere. And it's just me and the girls.
You're really isolated at this moment.
Yes. Like literally you can't, go anywhere or do anything. Nobody can console you. And like I have to be in charge. I have to be strong. I have to be there for my kids. And so as I told you, I don't know where the strength came from, but it's from that point I felt that strength. Like I can't explain it. And so the day after, they keep giving me updates. He's not doing well. His x-ray is not looking good. It's completely white. We're trying everything. And then Dr. Hidalgo says, I think it will do you good and it will do him good if you want to come and visit him. So you have COVID, so we'll allow you to come in the COVID unit because you're already sick.
Right.
So I said, oh my gosh, it would be great. So I remember getting ready and driving down, and they let me through in the back door to the COVID unit. And when I got in that room, it was like a shock because it looked like the exact same room that I had the vision. Only because the bed was turned another way. But it was the same exact setup, the same color, the closet by the side. And I said, oh my gosh, this is the same room. And I brought it me at the time. His cousin had given me some holy oil and holy water, and I took him, and the first thing I reached in there, I'm seeing the nurse in her bubble suit. Can't recognize anybody because all of them have on their suit. And I took this bottle out of my purse, and she looks at me, and I said, do I have permission to put this on him? And she said, what is it? I said, it's holy oil. And so I get in there and I bless him with the holy oil and the holy water, and I took out my rosary. I put one on his hand, and then I had mine, and I started saying the rosary. And I did the whole rosary there, and then I did some praise and worship. And it just calmed me, although it frightened me to see him in that condition. It kind of calmed me after I had finished the rosary. It kind of settled me. And I went home and told the kids, it's going to be okay. And so the whole week went like that, and the following Sunday, they attempted to take him off, and he came off the machine and successfully. But by this time,
How much days did you do in the machine intubated?
6 days. The first intubation was 6 days.
The first
The
intubation.
first, yes, was 6 days.
So it gets
Yes.
interesting after this.
Yes, because when they took him off, we said, "Great, this is it." So he was moved to the wards, and we were all excited. It was my birthday that day when he came into the ward, and we had to take the kids to visit him.
A little gift from God.
Yes, I tell people it was the greatest gift he gave me, you know. And so we sat there and we spoke and we laughed, and it was just joyful that day, you know, having him out and the kids hugging him and talking to him. But then throughout the week, he became he was a different person in a way because he was very paranoid. I don't think we've publicly said this, but when he came out of that first intubation, he was paranoid. He actually think people was trying to kill him. So
and this is just fear gripping you now.
Well, he's having all of this paranoia for, I don't know. He's thinking that they're killing him.
Right.
I tell people you could speak about mental health and speak about people with anxiety or psychosis or, you know, whichever name you want for whatever condition they have. But until you walk that road and live it, you don't realize how, I think, devastating or how really awful it is. And I remember waking up, but the memories come in like in a haze, little bits and pieces. And I remember waking up in this room, strange room. I remember walking out at KHMH and then waking up in that strange room. I don't know where I'm at. 6 days have passed, and by that time the COVID they had tested and it was negative. Mm-hmm. So my kids and, you know, the other people could come and visit. But there were periods within that time frame when I was up in the middle that I actively thought that people were trying to kill me. And when I went back to later on with the docs and I asked them, you know, what happened? They said sometimes it's COVID paranoia. There's a term for it. There is a COVID psychosis.
Is it the trauma that you experienced?
It could be hypoxia, your brain not getting enough oxygen for a certain period of time. It could be some of the medications, because there are some medications that you take that sedate you that have some side effects that make you feel like that. But I clearly do remember that there were some people trying to kill me. And the stories are filled with minutiae. I mean, to the tiniest detail, I could sit here and tell you, and you would say, Doc, you really believe that? And I really did believe those. So I was very paranoid. I wouldn't sleep at night. I would literally stay up and pretend to sleep so that the guys who would come with me would sleep and watch the clock turn and think all kind of strange thoughts. So that middle part was, I think, one of the more devastating parts of the illness for me, because for someone who has been lucid his whole life, to have a part of it where you're really, really afraid, to me it was devastating when I think back about it. And
but at this time, I think they were thinking something went wrong with him. You know, it affected a part of his brain for him to be behaving like this.
I had a stroke, or
yes,
because sometimes
he was just not himself.
Specific strokes could damage parts of your brain that change your personality.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so they were considering a lot of things, but what kept me grounded was, I think one day Liz came in and said, when you're feeling bad or you feel like, just say, Jesus, I trust in you, 3 times, back to back. And I started to do it. I mean, and initially, for someone who's not very prayerful and mooch when it's time to go to church, and I tell people I go through the rituals and I like church because it's positive. It's more positive than negative. I like that my kids grow up with the positivity and with the teaching that it gives. But to recite something like that was not
Being a medical doctor and someone based in science, you're thinking, how is this going to help me by reciting these words?
But then I started to do it, I could literally see the monitor and the heart rate going down. I said, something is working. But if you could imagine you sitting in that chair and hearing the fellow who is coming with the gun up the stairs outside this chapel, and you could hear him coming and opening that door. And it's at that point you would say, Jesus, I trust in you. Jesus, I trust in you.
So you're having like these vivid images of someone coming after you.
The door opens and it's one of the nurses coming to check my pulse or something, and I'm like, and that would happen throughout the whole that middle part. It was like about a week. About a week I was in the middle.
Yes, a week. A week like that we spent thinking something is wrong, something is wrong. He's out of COVID, he's not intubated, but something is wrong now. And the doctor said, well, we'll do other tests, we'll run some other tests and, try to figure out if something happened to his brain. But by this time, about the fourth, fifth day, we noticed he started getting pale and his blood count started to fall. And every day they did it fall a little bit more. And we're asking him, are you okay? And he's saying, yes, I feel fine. But all this time he wasn't feeling fine. He was having terrible pain in the abdomen, but he was thinking that they're trying to kill him. And so he didn't want to say anything. And so about the fifth, sixth day when the blood count really fell to like 4, I think that was the lowest it went. By that time, they had already put out a call for blood, to start giving him blood. And I think that, again, is another miracle because the amount of people that showed up, they told us that they overwhelmed the blood bank, the amount of people showed up to give him blood.
I just want to say here that all throughout this time, there's an entire community praying for you.
Absolutely.
Everywhere, all over the country, all over the world, anyone who knows you is joining in to pray the rosary over Zoom, is saying their own prayers, going to adoration. I myself remember going to adoration and interceding for your health, me and my prayer partner. And I recall clearly when she said he's going to be okay, he's going to come out of this. He said, this is his Damascus experience. And I'm like, what? He said, but she's going to be okay. And that brought so much relief. So you have a lot of people praying, a community which can't be there to see you, but all this love pouring out on you.
Hi, Dr. Egg. My name is Lykeia. I pray for you. Could you give me more lollipop? Good morning, doctor. I hope you feel good, and I'm going to pray for you to feel better, and I hope I see you soon in your clinic.
Hi, Doc. Good morning. Wishing you a speedy recovery. You might not know me. My name is Cheryl Rabato. I live in Banapan. I'm one of Jehovah's Witnesses. But I just see the press release so that we could left voice message on your phone to give you some support. Doc, I was thinking that among all the things happening, we really, really look forward to better times, one new world, in fact, where sickness and death will be no more. The scripture in Isaiah 33:24 says, and no resident will say, I am sick. Well, the word will in the English dictionary means something in the future. And so certainly that we look forward to the time when sickness will be no more. No resident will say, I am sick. So you live in Lysette, no resident of Lysette, I get sick. No resident of Banapan, no resident of any part of the world you could think about that. No resident will say they are sick. So hold on. We're praying for you. We think about you, and we know that you have extended a lot of years to put into your study for come back and mind babies, tend to them, and to make sure that they are well. You do your part, Doc, and we pray that you get stronger and stronger as days go by, that you're able to stand up once again and to serve the populace of this country and the little babies there where you enjoy seeing and to take care of. We love you, Doc. Have a good day. Thanks so much. And remember Isaiah 33:24. No resident will say, I am sick. That is in the offering very shortly. Take care. We extend our love to you and your family. All the very best, Doc.
Jesus, heal Dr. Egg, and Dr. Egg, we love you.
Good morning, Dr. Egg. I am Aiden Webster.
Thank God you are feeling better. I pray God continue to send miraculous healing your way. I need you to get better so you can help me when I am sick.
Hi, afternoon, Mr. Ek. Dr. Ek, would I keep you in prayers from the Garbutt family, from Ezra and Ricky? Um, Stay strong for your family and just continue to pray for you all. Just battle it out. Can remember you're a special doctor for your kids and
I'm Paige McFadden.
Hi, I'm Mila McQuadson.
I wanted to say that get well soon. We're looking forward to see you. And you're my favorite doctor.
I also am looking forward to see you again, and you're also my favorite doctor.
I hope you get well, Dr. Eck. It's me, Damon. I hope you really get well soon. Please get well.
Hi, Dr. Eck. This is Aaron St. Bernard. I was sad when I heard that you were sick. Me and my family prayed for you every day. I am happy to hear that you are doing much better, and we will continue to pray for your full recovery. Love you. Bye.
Buenas tardes, doctor. Soy Catalea Bautista. Rezo todos los tiempos para usted y deseo que se recupere y...
Hi, Doc. This is Kenroy Usher Jr. Just letting you know I am praying for a quick recovery for you. See you soon.
Hi, this is Kimaya. I hope you get better soon and your battle with COVID has stopped. It's been a while since I've seen you, and I've grown up a lot, and I'm in high school, and I wish you the well. Wish you the best at getting better.
Hi, Doctor. I hope you feel better. This is your patient, Riel. I really hope you get better. I am praying for you, and I hope you get better soon.
Good morning, Doc. Brennan Gentle here. Just a short note to say get well soon because we all need you.
Hi, Dr. Eck. I heard you are sick. It made me feel sad. I hope you get better soon. I am praying for you because you have always been there for me. I am Vanya Balan.
Good morning, Dr. Eck. It's me, Jolie Satellit. I hope you get well very soon. We need you back.
I hope you feel better soon.
Yes. And that's what I told him. I said, throughout this whole ordeal, I think that's one thing that gives me strength. The work that God did through others. Because the outreach, the outpour of love and support we received, me and my family, through every single channel you could believe, from, I don't know, physical to bringing things at our home, to praying with us, checking on us. One spell I had a whole entire team just showed up at our home to do the yard, and I had a little girl, a lady raking, and I don't know any of these people, they just showed up, like things like that.
This is how we say thank you.
Yes, but I'm thinking, I said, oh my gosh, God works so powerful through different people, because you don't expect that. But at that, point where you're at your lowest, God is doing something, working in your life through others.
Amen.
And that was comforting to me as well. So back to the blood. So they asked for the blood, and he was preparing to go home. This was the following weekend. He had already come out of COVID, was recovering, and they were preparing to discharge him this Saturday. And that Friday night, I was the one, because we used to spend nights, alternate nights. One night me stayed, one night my daughter stayed, and that one night was my turn. And I was there the Friday night, and he kept complaining, and I said, what is it? And he said he wants to use the bathroom, doesn't do anything. Until like 5 a.m, he admitted he's having pain. So they called the doctor, and right away everybody started coming in, and they said, no, we have to run a CT to check what's happening. And when they did that, they realized he was bleeding out, like a lot of bleeding. Yes, that's why he was losing blood. They were giving him blood, but he was still losing more than they were giving him. And so they said, you're at a point, they don't know what to do, because he's just recovering. He just came off the ventilator. Now he has to do a surgery. That's the only thing, possible to stop the bleeding because it's internal. You can't see it. It's not coming out anywhere. It's, it's accumulating in the abdomen. And so they had to transport him to take the CT to medical associates that morning. And when they came back, they said, we need to do a meeting. All the doctors need to get together to decide if it's worth doing, if the benefits outweigh the risk, because it's risky to put him under anesthesia. He's just recovering from COVID. They'll have to ventilate him again after, the surgery. And so that Monday morning, I was there and all the doctors came in and they had their meeting, and I remember they coming back into the room and they told us that they decided that it's best to do the surgery, to go ahead. It's risky, but the risk, the benefits far outweigh the risk. And so they'll try. And so when they came in, so we explained to him and he said, yes, he understands. And he signs the paper, the consent form, because he's, wide awake and he understands everything that's happening. And another powerful thing that happened that morning, the 10 doctors that came in the room, it's a small room, and they all stood around the bed. And they explained that to us. And after I asked him, do you understand? And he said, yes. I asked the doc, I said, Doc, can you pray with us? Because his main doctor was a preacher from another religion, but he's also a preacher.
Right.
And he said, sure. And we all held hands in that room, the 10 of us, along with him, and that doc prayed for him, prayed over him. And I felt a sense of calm after that. And while praying, I'm saying to myself, I said, God, you know what? If it is your will, I said, I prayed when they were having their meeting. I said, give them wisdom, guide them, help them to make the right decision. Whatever decision they come back, let it be. That's your will. And so when they told us that they'll do it, I said, God, that's your will. Let your will be done. And so that was it. They wheeled him into the theater, and I left for a couple hours. I remember showing up at his cousin's house, probably looking like a dog, tired, just exhausted from everything. And I just fell asleep. And then you're waiting after that for this phone call to come. When he'll come out of surgery, if everything is okay, and you find that the clock just ticking again. And you're waiting and you're waiting. Finally it came and said, he's out, he's fine. And I said, oh my gosh. And that was the first time I actually cried. But it was tears of joy. It was actually tears of joy. I just let it all out. And so he came back again and intubated. And then the third day after doing the surgery, he had to go back because they had to pack him. They had to go back in and then take out the packing again and then continue on the ventilator. And so he came back out again the second time, successful from the surgery. And I think it was about 4 days after that, he came off again the second time, successfully off the machine.
Praise God.
Yes.
Just a miracle. So how has this changed your life now? Both your lives?
Well, for me, my faith has grown leaps and bounds. I mean, I used to be bothered by the least thing and worry about how this will happen and how that. And I said, if you took me through that, Lord, you could take me through anything. And everything I pray and put in God's hand. And I realized it's just much easier to do that, so much easier to just let him decide and let him do his will. And so I find myself, my faith has grown, leaps and bounds. I've had much more patience because after he was discharged, it was another phase because he couldn't walk. He was debilitated. He was in a wheelchair. He didn't have any sensation in the legs. He couldn't walk. He couldn't move. He couldn't help himself.
Right.
So that was another phase we had to go through with him being home and recovering. And then I guess he can tell you because he had to learn to walk all over again. That was... Right?
Yeah. After I woke up the second time in the hospital, and I asked the same doctor who prayed for me, Dr. Paguaga, I said, Doc, what did you find? And he said, a little bleed, Doc. And later on when I found out it was a huge bleed. And he was just, calming me down.
Right.
But yes, I tell everybody that The COVID should have killed me. I mean, and I'm not mincing words. It killed a lot of people with less risk factors than I had. The bleeding, which is a coagulopathy, it happens with people who have COVID, should have killed me again with the HB that low. And the guys took a big risk in going in because I could have bled out. I'm doing surgery with a bleeding problem. But it worked out, and it's not by chance. It just didn't happen.
Nothing is a coincidence in the kingdom.
Yeah, it didn't just, and I'm not that lucky. I'm lucky, but not that lucky.
You're blessed. You have a praying wife.
The other thing is, from this thing started and I was put in the hospital, my cousin started her prayer group, Miss Venetia Salazar, and it blossomed and became this, from the mole to the mountain. It mushroomed up. And I remember waking up semi-lucid again, could not follow the rosary. I could hear them reciting, but I couldn't follow it. I couldn't recite as well. I just couldn't. And I remember going through those phases of getting back my mind, listening and hearing it and starting to follow. And later on when we were being discharged, I said, Liz, how is this thing with Ven going? And Liz says, this thing is huge. And afterwards, I tell everybody, never underestimate the power of unified prayer, ever. I have a good friend who is very ill right now, Miss Jackie. And I've told her that, and I've told her, keep the faith, fight on.
Jackie Woods, we're praying for her.
People will, or in my case, if I were on the outside looking in, on my case, I would have written myself off because the amount of trauma that I went through would have been devastating for anybody else.
You still have a purpose here.
People tell me that, and I tell them, I don't know. I've done the work. I'm back, and I'm going back to what I love and what I do.
But from the little that you've shared, now you're more compassionate with your patients. You pray with them. To me, that's just wonderful that the Lord now has brought you to this point now. You are helping Him to heal others, to heal children, especially children, because the children are the apple of His eye.
I'm just doing what I usually do. I actually love what I do, and I'm glad that I'm still here doing it. And I'm glad that despite all of that, with the help of the prayers, and when Liz says that people gave, they gave a lot, from my brothers to my extended family. And it's not, one of her sisters used to send food from Chonsan. She used to pay from abroad and the food would come. And we're like, what are we going to eat today?
To get help, Viannie.
Food just show up. I don't understand.
Yes, it was a ton load of help.
No.
I just believe that this is the way people showed how grateful they were, because you are my children's pediatrician. And I remember distinctly why you became my children's pediatrician, because when my son, my oldest, was little, I brought him to you, and later on in the night, you were, I believe, the only doctor that ever called me and asked me, how is Sean doing? And that to me meant a lot. And this is why I appreciate you as a doctor. And this is, after that, I stuck with you. There's no one else I want to see. So I can just imagine the outpouring of love from people who've had that same experience with you. Mm-hmm. And this is how I can show that give back, because we really can't give back what you've done for our children.
Mm-hmm. There are many other things we could discuss, like glossing over learning to walk in a sentence. It's not nice. So post getting home, the COVID had devastated the nerves in my lower limbs, and I did not have function of my muscles. I could still feel, but they couldn't move, and I had to go through physiotherapy for 6 months. In a wheelchair at home, I had to refit my whole home to handle wheelchairs, and we had to set up a thing in the back for me to learn how to walk. Physiotherapy every day, painful physiotherapy. And another big thing that people don't like to discuss, but I am not afraid of, is cost. I stopped working for about a year. We had a lot of financial obligations. And the hospital gave us a bill of a little less than $500,000.
Wow.
And the people, I have videos of my little patients opening their piggy banks and sending stuff to me. So.
Oh my goodness.
It's a tremendous outpour of love and support.
And it's humbling because, I didn't expect that. I mean, you do your work, you get sick, you don't expect nobody, you're doing your work. Right. But from the little bit to the people who gave me a lot of money to kind of tide us over. So every day is just a blessing now. I do what I do. I go to church. I become more prayerful. So after this episode, we started to in bed read the readings every day. I become delinquent.
Pray as a couple now.
Recently,
Praise God.
Yes.
but in the morning we say our prayers together. My wife, in the morning before she used to go in the living room and do her prayers. Now we do it together. So it has brought me closer to God. It is I won't say the testimony of a non-believer, because I believe in God, I believe in Him, I believe in all He has done. But this has concretized, cemented the truth that
you had more faith in science than in God.
No, I think we're a mix, if you want to talk about that. But I do think that the unified prayer thing is something. The help when you never expected it. The humbling feeling that you're tiny to that vast power. The thinking that you're in control when you're not. So it's good that you invited us on this show. Really do appreciate it. Maybe it's not said enough, but I think you do a good job, and maybe my wife could come back again.
I would love to have you guys back again, but thank you so much for joining me on this episode. I am sure your testimony will be touching a lot of lives, just as how the testimonies that I saw touched my lives. Thank you again, Dr. Eck and Mrs. Eck. Thank you, viewers, for watching this episode of Healed, Whole, and Happy. And if you have any testimonies to share with us, please give us a call at Guadalupe Media. We would be happy to share your testimony.
I pray for your healing. The circumstances will change. I pray that the fear inside would flee in Jesus' name. I pray that
Every project has to start somewhere, and Brothers Habet's got you covered. We're the place for professionals because we understand success is built on quality and reliability. For the do-it-yourselfers seeking quality tools and materials to bring their out-of-the-box ideas to life, our paint department offers a kaleidoscope of hues to those looking to express their unique style. And for those seeking the perfect touch of elegance for their homes, we offer a curated collection of household fixtures and furnishings that caters to every taste. But what sets Brothers Habet apart is our exceptional customer service. Our employees go above and beyond to ensure that every customer's needs are met. We're here to see you through your building journey. Visit Brothers Habet and get started today. Or call or WhatsApp us for a quote. See you soon!
If you've been considering purchasing real estate in Belize, or perhaps just making an investment for future retirement plans, if so, then Matus Real Estate Limited, Belize's trusted real estate firm, can assist you with the acquisition of Belize's finest real estate available in the market. Centrally located in Belize City, Matos Real Estate Limited is full-service real estate company dedicating itself in the sale of commercial and residential properties, island properties, developed farmland, acreages, seafront and sea view properties. Their focus is not just within Belize City. They also represent Belize real estate in the various districts and villages of the country. Contact them at 615-5886. 615-5886.
Babe, I'm going out to pay the water bill.
You don't need to go out. You could pay it from your phone. Look.
Babe, the credit card bill. I'll go pay it.
You can also pay it with your phone.
Babe,
Yes, love?
I need to go deposit the baby service pay.
You really want to go out, don't you? It's okay. I will make the transfer and you go play ball.
With Atlantic Bank Mobile, your personal banking experience is easier and more convenient. Bank your way with any of our digital channels and save time for what matters most.
Atlantic Bank, building the future together.